When was the last time you made a very difficult decision? It could have been related to anything, but we all know when it comes to making decisions, more often than not, it involves a trade-off. We have to sacrifice something, we have to go with something. And that decision making becomes all the more difficult because that to that hai. So it has got a very conventional way of thinking. There are certain points that actually work when it comes to that decision making. So gear up guys, on the 4th of Jan, you're going to make not one, but 21 difficult decisions. And if you get those decisions right, you're going to walk away with a very good score. So I'm just going to give you a cheat sheet. I mean, we have been discussing decision making, the dilemmas and all. I have been giving you sessions, extensive sessions on PYQs. I'm sure you must have attended those. But today I'm just going to wrap everything up, put it all in a nutshell for you to just see the most important points that can work in your favor when you sit for the test on 4th of Jan. So, hota kya hai dekho? There can be two traders, Ram and Sham. One sells bananas, the other sells dosas. They want to collaborate. Or let's say it's one society, a gated community, and there they have two traders who sell things for the benefit of the people there. One trader walks out because he cannot afford the rent. How will the community handle the situation? Because they are letting go of the rent. It can be one father and two sons, and he has to hand over the business. Now he has to decide how to do it. It can be one son who wants to be a photographer, and he's just saying, Papa, I cannot take care of your business. So what happens? So, it can be any kind of dilemma. It can be a government body that is in charge of pure drinking water for the people of the particular town. So it can be a dilemma anywhere. It can be a king, it can be a pauper, it can be a locksmith, it can be a gardener, it can be a father, it can be sons, anybody. ज़ैट के बहुत versatile cases होते हैं. So when we talk about the important steps, step number 1 is read the caselet properly. Like you have to read it word for word. Try to identify the stakeholders involved. Who are the stakeholders? The people who are benefiting from that situation, or the people who are going to suffer if something bad happens. So it can be a hospital, patients, nurses, doctors, paramedics, पांचों हो सकते हैं. Management committee, okay? Or it can be just a photographer and his two assistants. It can be a company and the customers. It can be a trainer, some senior trainers below him, and then some junior trainers, plus the customers. So just try to identify the stakeholders. और हाँ, अगर आपको ये नहीं बोला जा रहा है केसलेट में कि कंपनी के पास पैसे की कमी है, तो वो चीज लेके as a premise, please don't move forward. Companies can spend. If there is a dire strait, some kind of a problem, it will be mentioned in the caselet. ठीक है? The third important step is give importance to the question stem. More important than the caselet is the question stem. So we are going to discuss some important ZAT things like ethical, unethical and all. But if the question stem says, what should Ramesh do in order to maximize his profits? You have to go with Ramesh ka profits. Of course, you cannot harm anybody in the process. You cannot punish anybody in the process. But then, keeping Ramesh's profits in mind, you have to take your decision. ठीक है? तो ये 3 तो steps हो गए. Now, I'm going to give you this cheat sheet that has like some points, the most important points taken from that way of thinking. Number 1, middle ground. So, if there are 4 or 5 stakeholders involved, please try to come to some middle ground for the benefit of all of them. Number 2, ethical. That says you have to be ethical. If you have given out some product, you're a company and you've given out some product and the product is faulty. If you have conducted a test and there was some kind of goof up in that test, well, you have to do damage control, but before that you have to accept that the problem was there. You cannot simply brush it under the carpet and say, chalo is baar ho gaya, koi baat nahi, next time dekh lenge. इस बार जो हुआ है, what about the people who have maybe suffered because of that? Or maybe there is minimum damage, but still you have to accept and you have to make amends for that. You have to do damage control. ठीक है? Stakeholders. Stakeholders, I just discussed the number of people involved. So it can be company, it can be customers, it can be just anybody. And you have to come to some middle ground so as to benefit all the stakeholders. It's not necessary that everybody has to benefit equally. I mean, it can be a school and it can be rich parents and poor parents, the not so well off parents. Now, the school has to decide something, so it has to come to some middle ground. It has to consider both the stakeholders and, of course, the management committee also, and come to some middle ground for that. That is what stakeholders का सारा drama is. Collaborative. ये magical word ढूंढना आप options में. If there is something that's, if there is an option that says collaborative, communicative, transparency, accountability, ये सारे magic words होते हैं XAT के. XAT को बहुत पसंद है ये. So collaborative, any option that talks about synergy, cooperation, inclusive, ये सारे pick कर लेना आप. ठीक है, communication. XAT says if there is a problem, first communicate. So if you are a senior executive and your superior has asked you to do something, first communicate, ask them what they want, lay out a plan. Okay. If your customer is unhappy, please talk to the customer first, communicate, find out what his problem is or ask him what he wants. If there are doctors and nurses that are fighting and you are the hospital committee, talk to them. Find out what the problem is, what the bone of contention is, and then try to come to some middle ground. Okay? So communication. Accountability. If you are a senior executive, you are the CEO, you are the COO, or let's say even if you are a sales rep and you go and meet a customer, you are accountable. You have to take responsibility. So any option that actually moves the blame, okay, looks for a scapegoat. मैंने तो कुछ नहीं किया, कोई बात नहीं, उसकी गलती थी. Please get rid of such options. Okay. Then hierarchy. This is something crucial in that way of thinking. Papa, beta, uske pehle dada, aisa. Company mein, the top people, the middle people, the low people, aisa. So hierarchy is something that you have to follow. The rules are something that you have to follow. There is a protocol in a company. If there's any management system, you have to abide by the rules. Okay. If there are some stringent rules, maybe you can talk to the company, talk to the management and try to change the rules, get them changed. But then you cannot actually sideline some people who are there as your superiors. Okay. Next one, sustainability. Look for this magic word somewhere here in their options mein. So, ye sustainability, what does it mean? Sustainability is like, if the question says, what should Vineet do in order to keep his business sustainable? You are looking for something not in the short term, not 2 months, 3 months, immediate. No. You're looking for something that would actually play out in the long run, that would actually help his customers and that would actually help him build trust with his customers. Sustainable. However, if the question stem says, what should Vineet do in the short run or what should Vineet do immediately, look for something that goes with that. 2 months ka ya 3 months ka. We have got core values of your organization. Very often I have come across such a question in XAT decision making that asks you to align things keeping in mind the core values of your organization. So let's say your organization is a hospital and that hospital caters to all types of clientele, especially the low income groups. The hospital tries to help people, okay, kind of philanthropic. You have to select that option that does not go against the core essence. Okay? Next, no discrimination. So whether it's rich parents and poor parents, rich students, poor students, rich patients, poor patients, customers that walk into a shop, you cannot discriminate. Okay? However, if you are a person who's going to sell something and your market is price conscious, you can establish different counters or different shops in different areas. There is a very high profile area. You can establish your shop there and you can charge them a premium price. That's okay. But then if your shop is there in that premium location and customers walk in, one person is poor, one is rich, you have to charge them equally. So be very careful when it comes to such options that show you they should, you should kind of charge him this and not tell the other person this. Discrimination is an absolute no-no. Then transparency. Accountability and transparency. Communication. So when you communicate your points to the clients, you're being transparent. When you accept your mistake, okay, and do damage control, that is being transparent. So it can be any form of transparency, whether it's communication or damage control, kuch bhi, but you have to be transparent if you are trying to pick a good XAT option. That's it. Yes, there are many and many questions. that you can find on your XAT PYQs. And all these questions you will see will connect somehow or the other with these points that I just gave you. So go ahead, get cracking, and all the very best for the test.